Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we started out using the Psyker, and that's really about it. Started doing the story. Caius Thorn is still man in the tube. We're still missing a lot of people. We don't have our Tech Priest Omicron arc. So we'll just go back into trying to get all that done.
Assumptions were correct.
Between episodes I changed some gear around. I have this. I have a new staff which is pretty neat. I have that equipped with my sword. I'm digging that little lightning blast though. That's actually really cool. I feel like using anything but these Psyker gear pieces is kind of just a letdown, because you're not able to do as much. Like, you're essentially negating what your class is built around. But since we're sitting here playing a Psyker, I figured I'd go over a little bit of Psyker lore here. And kind of explain what a Psyker is, because I don't think I ever actually sat down and brought it up.
What is this research sanctum exactly, Inquisitor?
It belongs to one of the specialist divisions of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Ancient artifacts.
It surely has nothing to do with the whole complex being weirdly abandoned.
Careful, Captain. You're being sarcastic again.
Don't like being interrupted by the comms, but since it's story, that's going to happen a ton. But the Psykers are psychics. They can draw power from the warp, and groups like the Eldar are inherently psychic, or inherently Psykers. But then you have like humanity, which has a good amount of Psykers. Keeps want to say psychics, but psychic kind of implies like mind reading or telekinesis. Kind of why I liked Mass Effect calling them biotics. It felt just different enough that it made sense. Okay, that's a dead end. But you have them. The orcs are inherently Psykers, but not Psykers. Because you have, weird boys who are the obvious Psykers of the group. And then you have everybody else whose collective, latent psychic abilities come together to alter reality to a degree. It's how they believed Commissar Yarrick was invincible and temporarily made him so.
Do you have any idea how these tech priests could have helped Lord Klosterheim? How are you planning to proceed if they're all dead?
But one of the big things when it comes to them, to the orcs, when it comes to Psykers, is the fact that they don't draw from the warp, they actually draw from the Wa. Their collective, let's say the collective propensity for violence. And they're able to draw from that to gain
Inquisitor,
Psyker powers.
They seem to target the cogitator.
Which is pretty cool.
Then I will do my best to protect it.
This game actually does a pretty good job when it comes to Psyker schools. Because there's biomancy, divination, pyromancy, telekinesis, and telepathy. And I think all of those are touched on to a degree. I think telepathy is the one that isn't. But otherwise, they're all pretty well somewhere in this game. I will say, though, it kind of sucks how just limited it is. Because the stuff like, oh, hey, we have pyromancy. Cool. like I had said a couple episodes ago, magic is a lot cooler. You know, Warhammer Fantasy magic is just like, yeah, summon a ghost ship, call down a meteor, raise the dead, all the fun stuff. Create a giant flaming skull that will roam across the battlefield incinerating people. It's kind of hard to really one-up that kind of stuff, and 40K doesn't really do it, even though I feel like it's more justified to be able to do that in this. Because think about it. In fantasy, you shoot a fireball. That's about it. As we saw last episode with this, you shoot a fireball, or you don't shoot enough fireballs to deal with their warp, you end up just dying. Yeah, there's a miscast chance in fantasy, but it still doesn't feel like it has the same severity I would describe it as.
Inquisitor, the hostiles are wreaking havoc on the corridors.
Don't worry. I'll make sure they don't destroy this cogitator.
You know, it's hard to really look at the effects the player is under in this and say, yeah, that's kind of one-to-one in what they can inflict. It'd be kind of nice to have a little more ability for Psykers. But I also understand Psykers aren't supposed to be like the bread and butter of a force. They're not meant to be the major force multiplier. You know, they're powerful, they can do things, but you don't want everyone to be rocking these guys. Okay, I do have to go back up this way. Or is it the other way? No, it's this way. But in general, Psykers are pretty interesting. You have the Imperium essentially hunts down rogue Psykers. You have to be sanctioned. Otherwise, you are, I mean, based on a lot of the lore for 40K, people who are just kind of, I guess the fantasy equivalent would be hedge wizards. But if you're just some rando who's like, yeah, I can channel the warp, 9 times out of 10, one of 3 things will happen. You turn yourself inside out and die. You fall to the Chaos Gods because Tzeentch or somebody's like, hey, yo, I heard you can do literally anything. Do you want more power? And everybody in their infinite stupidity goes, yeah, I'll take more power, why not? And they fall to the ruinous powers. Or they just become despots. Like, you almost always have a propensity to die or become evil. I'm sure some Psykers exist that are good and don't fall to megalomania, but the odds are stacked against them. And that's kind of where the Imperium comes in. They have, like, black ships that whisk people away in the night. And the idea is you either get trained, or you end up getting fed to the Emperor to sustain the he's essentially the lighthouse that all ships that travel the warp use to navigate, at least for the Imperium of Man. But I think for the most part that's because everybody else travels differently. Like, Necrons, for the most part, have the dolmen gateways. I don't remember how they travel for ships, but it doesn't touch the warp. The Necrons and the Catan are not at all Psykers. The Tau have, like, proper, like, hyperdrive kind of deals. They develop technology not reliant on, you know, going through hell. The Orcs... Actually, the Orcs do warp normally. They just don't care, because if a demon pops up on their ship, they're not like, oh god, it's a demon. It's, hey, I can kill that. They're more excited, because that's a free fight for them. Eldar use, for the most part, the webway.
So what next?
Well, this infiltration team must have a commander.
And we need those tech priests alive, if they are still alive.
At least one of them should be alive. The instructions I found were very specific.
I'm trying to think of who else, because yeah, the Orcs, the Eldar, the Dark Eldar just once again use the webway, popping out a Kimura in their places to raid. Chaos use the warp because they don't have to care. What's gonna happen to Chaos Space Marines? More demons show up? That's effectively just getting reinforcements. Short of that, yeah, I think that's about everybody. Everybody worth noting. Oh, the Tyranids. How could I forget the Tyranids? I think the Tyranids just kind of fly. They don't really care. But I mean, that's classic Tyranids. They are the Great Devourer. The galaxy is nothing but a snack for them. Well, that was a lot of level ups.
Your Space Marine.
Blah blah, don't care. What about you, Van Winter? Tell me things I don't need to really pay attention to. Yeah, next mission. Actually, I should check my gear. I mean, that is nice. I do lose the XP gain. Yeah, why not? It's early game, I don't have to care. That's a blatant upgrade. Nah. Nah, pass on that as well. Actually, I need to do my passives too. Ugh, God. I guess we're just gonna keep going through all these. Because, I mean, 25% damage to psychic powers for 10 seconds when warp heat rises to a higher status. I can easily bump up a tier. And then I can force myself back down, bump back up, and just keep ping-ponging. Damn, that thing fires fast. And the punch through is pretty nice. But I just realized, as I was sitting here thinking about what I had said about Imperial Guard, or at least Empire of Man and Psykers, I kind of just really did a hyper-abridged version, because there's a lot more. Because what I just covered was essentially, what do you do, or what happens to randos who become Psykers? You know, you get scooped up and brought away. But there are a lot of properly sanctioned, you have navigators for ships. That's how, like I said, the Emperor's the lighthouse, how every ship guides. They have Psykers, they have astropath choirs for communication. There's Primaris Psykers, who are powerful, essentially infantry Psykers within the Imperial Guard. Then you have Sanctioned Psykers, who are weaker. You're more likely to find a Sanctioned over a Primaris. You have... I'm trying to think. Like, you'll find Psykers within, obviously, Space Marines, Adeptus Sororitas, Psykers like my character in the Imperial Guard, or not Imperial Guard, the Inquisition. Because if you're in the Inquisition, you're obviously above normal. They don't just take average Joes and be like, yeah, you're now part of us. You have to not suck, effectively. You can't be average, you can't suck, you gotta be exceptional. I'm trying to think what else. So those are the kind of the big ones. Yeah, the Imperium has like the most uses for Psykers. It's just, you know, nobody ever has a happy ending as a Psyker. There's also stuff like demon hosts, which, I mean, we do fight one in this, but it's always effectively some idiot in the Inquisition going, hey, what if we take a demon and just, like, shove it into someone? And then we kind of use that as a weapon. There's an obvious reason why it's frowned upon, and, you know, you get branded a heretic when you try it, because it's kind of stupid and very dangerous. I honestly couldn't even tell you if, you know, the juice is worth the squeeze here. I don't know if it would be actually a viable thing, or if it's just a very cruel way to die for someone. I feel like it's unnecessary and doesn't give you as much as one would hope. Considering there's always a chance the demon's just like, yo, I'm a breakout, and now you have, like, I don't know, a great unclean one who's just vibing in the middle of your army. You know, your demon host just liquefied and turned into a pool of jelly, and now you got a demon. Can't really say that's a good payout. Yeah, I just kind of wish Psykers were a little more diverse. Less in their occupation, but more in just their ability. Because I think of Total War Warhammer and the, what is it? The dark magic that the Dark Elves get. One of them, you can create like this line of giant crystals. And I'm a sucker for magic that involves crystals. I love stuff like that. The visual, like Dark Souls, they had these dudes who were, I think it's effectively cursed. They have like these giant crystals growing out of their body, and I'm like, this looks really cool. Except the armor and the weapons that have that are absolutely awful. Statistically, they sucked. And you had to be out of your mind or very playing the fashion game to really want to use them. But I think they're cool. So it's like, seeing that magic in Total War Warhammer, I was like, I want this everywhere. And didn't get that. Go, Pillar. Hit something, please. There's people coming. Go. Shoo. Yeah, this Force Staff, I'm really liking the punch through, and the fact this one gives me bonuses to my pyromancies, which just makes me stronger. I feel like once I hit high enough level that I get all of the abilities, I'm gonna have to double back and kind of figure out what abilities are worth using. Because I feel like there's some potential here. And I don't know, the channel beam isn't bad, but I'm definitely not looking at it like, yeah, this is my best option. I know there's a lot of stuff you can do. Oh yeah, you can accidentally summon demons. Forgot that ability existed. That's a punishment for Warpeed. But I think there's a build you could pull of like... You have one thing set up as your caster setup, and then from there on, all you do is run like entirely buffs on that, and then you run like a two-handed weapon if you can. Like a gun, and then you just switch to the gun and have all your buffs kind of carry you. I just don't know how, I guess, viable that is. I feel like it isn't. It would be too easy to make that a viable option for players, and it would kind of be boring. Because then you're just playing a glorified Crusader.
I wonder what this machine does.
And I mean, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just actually play a Crusader, you get better guns. Not like this class is gonna magically get, you know, grenade launcher, heavy flamer, or anything. Yeah, we'll call it for now. So, that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.